which is that the meaning, apart from the literary meaning, the meanings intended, and which becomes the principal meaning, which makes the audience very happy, and the rasas, the aesthetic experience called rasas, then bhava, etc., have been understood through this principal suggestion. So Dunyaloka of Anandavardhana is an excellent work, and as far as Anandavardhana's the talent is concerned, meaning whatever the sounds that we hear, and it has been established that poet alone is the creator. Apare kavya samsare kavireka prajapati yathasmai rojate vishyam tadhedam parivartate. That was the statement given by Anandavardhana. So he is the alone creator, and the poetry has got the boundless realm, and the revelation of the aesthetic world is possible from the enjoyment of the poet. Poet always used to highlight the intended sentiments to make the world happy. That the intention always is to how the audience will be happy, how the sahridaya, to make the sahridaya happy. That is the intention is there. And if you want to make this sahridaya happy, that literary meanings will not do, so that he has to make some sort of that the suggestion which should be principle, that and the importance of that suggested meaning makes the poem which is dhvani, and by which the rasa, bhava, and rasa, bhasa, etc. have been expressed. Anyway, dhvani is the course of theory of principal suggestion. Dominating the literary expressions make the principal suggestion highlighted. Here, that the first verse, we have already observed the ways of principles, and the subordinate suggestion also. Subordinate, that is called the Gunibhuta Vyangya. Something which is not subordinate, but it has been made subordinate according to the charm which has been revealed to the people who are continuously enjoying any poet. A poet has got such a talent that he can make the anuvachakas happy. Anuvachaka means in the sense that who are ready to listen to, whose mind is very much tuned to the what the poet was contemplating, what he want to convey to the world. So here, already observe the ways of principle and the subordinate suggestion. And these type of suggestions are endless if the poet is very much well-talented. So a well-talented poet can do anything. That is what we say, apare kavya samsare kavireka prajapati yathasmai rojate vishyam tadhedam parivartate, etc., etc. And then he also finds a quality that a novelty should be there. So if just we go through the text of that Valmiki's text called the Ramayana, then Vyasa's text called the Mahabharata, then the Kalidasa's text, that the dramas like Abhijnana Shakuntala or any other works like that, if a newcomer to this field of literary criticism, what he will do, if he want to establish himself as a poet to the in front of the world, he has to do some magic. That is, the talent should be there, and he should express in a way that through this principle suggestion must be highlighted. Otherwise, it will be ridiculed by the world. There is no doubt about that. So that some novelty should be maintained, that even though the meanings are already expressed in different ways and different texts are available, and even many a number of things have been repeated Why should we repeat again? Many terminology has been used to, then these terminologies have been repeated. Then why should we try for a new poem? But even though these terminologies have been repeated, and these, if a Kavi has that, the poet has got the talent, he can make it a novel. He can make it some sort of the quality of novelty to the world. So in that, in quite a few occasions, these terminologies have been repeated, and but it follows the previous meanings expressed earlier. That is the quality. The novelty is maintained, but the previous meanings have been expressed earlier. That is the second word of that fourth flash has been expressed here. I just read through we call it the Karika, the second Karika of the fourth flash is here. Adhohyanyatamenapi prakarena vibhushita vani navatvamayadi purvarthanvayavadyapi, which means that the novelty is maintained even though the meanings are expressed differently and repeated in quite a few occasions. Also follows the previous meaning expressed earlier. And then another fact that the sentiments, the rasa, bhava, bhasa, etc., etc. There are 8 types of sentiments have been listed out, and according to that different type of feelings are expressed and understood. So the scope of sentiments are wide open, and the range of poetry becomes unlimited. And here, one translator from Mysore, Professor Krishnamurti finds that the scope of sentiments, emotions, their resemblances is indeed very vast in view of the numerous varieties. So that is what, while translating that, Adhohyanyatamenapi prakarena vibhushita has been translated by him. So the scope of sentiments, if a poet want to make these type of sentiments in his own work, to establish himself as an ideal poet to the world, he has to follow certain type of that rules that Anandavardhana wants to teach the world. And you cannot easily just, you are born in the world and the next day onwards you will become an established poet like Valmiki, Vyasa, Kalidasa, etc. It is not possible. And you can do that, and you have got an inborn talent with you. Then you have to make that you are well educated, and you can make some sort of practices. And beyond that, if you want to establish that you are one of the best poets in the world, in any part of the world, in any time, like that, you can do that. But you have to make the readers happy you have to use the ideal sentiments. And the scope of sentiments is wide open for everything. It is not that only Kalidasa can do, only Vyasa or Valmiki, and beyond that there is nobody is there. Even though Anandavardhana says that Yenasmin Adivijitra Maha Kavi Parambara Vayini Samsare Kalidasa Prabhadayo Ditrava Panchakava Mahagavaya iti Ganyante. And even these words are just he's trying to attract the audience, that it is not that easy to become that one among these 5 poets like Valmiki, Vyasa, Kalidasa, etc., etc. But ultimately he says that even a layman who has got the talent and is ready to follow these type of rules to make the readers happy, so that the scope of sentiments are wide open, and the range of poetry becomes unlimited. Na kavyartha viramutti yadisyat pradibhaguna. That is one of the verse parts have been that one has to remember. And then going on that again, if we have already came across the many a number of various lines from Ramayana, Mahabharata, and works of Kalidas and other poets, Bhasa, etc. Then even though those meanings have been understood earlier, and nothing beyond that, it has been stopped there. Nobody can enter to that area. If you just use the same words used by the poet in the past, and you will be that already that Kalidasa used this passage, and these words that he have been used, and Valmiki already said, what is the novelty in your poem? The questions will be asked by the many a number of people. So how the novelty could be achieved by the aestheticity in poems and the sentimental touch that you want to make, and the poems attained like the trees with the flowers during the spring season, that it will be very nice to see. And in the spring season, the many a number of trees with flowers and very attractive, etc. Even tender leaves also, even tender leaves with that certain type of attractive colors are very much charming indeed. So that charming is required, and that could be possible to make the novelty in poems by keeping the aestheticity. Without aestheticity, you cannot make the world happy. So the quality of a poet is, of course, that to make himself happy and to make others happy also. So what is that happiness? And the Indian philosophy, the Vedanta, Advaita, and other philosophies, they also speak about the terminology Ananda, Satchidananda, Sat, Chit, Ananda, etc. So happiness is a part that, because once we are sad, we need some sort of another tool to make us happy. And if you want to make others happy also, some sort of tool is required. That is what Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra used to say. Then a bunch of sages coming to converged on the side of Bharata was asking that we are sad and the whole world is very sad. How to make them happy? Kridaniyagam ichhamo drishyam shravyam jayat bhaved. We need some sort of sport that which will be audible and which will be visual, audio-visual experience, and by which that then thereafter the drama has been started with the help of the sons of Bharata and the damsels of the heaven, etc., etc. So, Drishtapurva Abhihyartha Kavye Rasa Parigrahat Sarve Nava Ivabhanti Madhumasa Ivadruma. That is what I told, that novelty is achieved by the aestheticity in poems, and the sentimental touch of the poems is attained like the trees with flowers during the spring season. Then again, that following that the scope of sentiments in one's poem and the novelty is to be established, even though the terminologies have been used by the earlier poets. Then what a poet should do, what action make him to establish himself that he has been considered as a poet in the current scenario and for the forthcoming eras. And that we remember that even though more than 2000 years ago that Kalidasa wrote his the great epics and the dramas like Abhijnana Shakuntalam, etc., etc. And still people are remembering. That was even if you take, for example, the Abhijnana Shakuntala, the story has been taken from the Mahabharata and the Padma Purana also following that. Then many a number of things have been added, the Durvasas coming into the scene and forgetting about the incidents happen in the forest, etc., etc. And then the earring episode also. Then the fish has been cut, the fisherman has been beaten up. Then Dushyanta started to recognize Shakuntala as, yes, she has been married by on some time. That the story has been said in the third kind of, etc. So the story is very fast. So the aim of Kalidasa is to make him happy and to make others happy. So then the poetic talent has been well established in Kalidasa. So the fifth verse of that, I will just read it out. The fifth verse, I just read it out. It is here. The fifth verse is here. Vyangyavyanjagabhavesmin vividhe sambhavatyapi rasadimaya ekasmin kavisyadavadhanavan. Kavisyadavadhanavan. A poet should be alert. A poet should be alert if you want to convey the sentiments from him to the world. So it is not that easy to convey the sentiments to others, because that sentiment should be generalized. If the sentiments have been recognized in a generalized form, so that should be there. So the format is the theory of suggestion. That is the principal suggestion should be there. So for that, the Vyangya and Vyanjaga. The sound is Vyanjaga and the meaning is Vyangya. So and by which that even though it has been conveyed through many methods, but that one poet should be alert how I can exactly convey these sentiments to the audience. So that is a main factor. So it is the poet should be most intent upon the sentiments. So in particular with his high importance. So the high importance is to be given all the time. And here, though the several varieties of suggested meaning, and the suggester, that is the Vyanjaga, the sound which has been heard, and relationship is possible. The poet should be most intent upon them in particular. The relating of the delineation of sentiments, the rasa, etc., etc. So the words involving the relation, suggested suggestion, suggested relationship is there. So it is possible in various ways, but the poet desirous in securing a novel poetic theme should be most intent upon one of them, the suggestion of sentiments. That is very important. So long as the poet exercises the unflected, the concentration regarding the suggested content, except the sentiments, emotions, and its semblance, and the suggestors previously explained, the letter, word, sentence, and the composition of the work as whole, the poet's entire work will become strikingly novel. The novelty is always important. So he has to keep the novelty upfront, apart from the whatever the literary meanings has been conveyed. For example, we have come across one verse from the Gaha Saptasai of compiled by Hala, there were many a number of contributors who were the writers in the past mentioned in the Gaha Saptasai. Gaha, that Gatha Saptasati, Gatha Saptashati is the Sanskrit translation of that. In that one verse is very interesting, and the meaning is intended, or the principle suggested is something else. For example, Bhamadhammiya Visatho Sasunavo Ajjamariyadena Golanai Gadda Gudangavasina Dariyasi Hena. This is the verse from the 4th chapter of the Gaha Saptasai. The Gaha Saptasai is very, very famous. It has been published from Calcutta. That I'm not exactly remembering the year of publication. It is Ratha Basak. He is the editor and who translated it in English with the Sanskrit meaning, that exactly the Sanskrit meaning and the original the Prakrit verses are there, and their names also been established, Galavasa, etc., etc. These who wrote the poem, and Halasa also given, and Hala is so in that poem. The principal suggestion is the meaning is totally reversed to what the literary meaning is conveying. Dhammiya Visatha Bhama. You can freely roam around. Do not get worried. The dog has been killed by the lion, who is alive, who is alert, who is living in the banks of this Godavari river. So from here onwards, do not be worried if any other dog will come to make disturbances in your offerings, etc. And then the lion is ready to kill that dog here. So in that way, it is very clear that if the lion is alive, lion has not only preferring the dogs only for his, it can kill this mendicant also. That mendicant is a Buddhist monk, and he used to do his offerings in the bank of Godavari, and the lady who is speaking to him has got a lover, and who is expected in the behind those small trees on the branches of on the banks of Godavari. So this man, he is to be not to be entertained. He is to be made away from there. So then one story has been created. There is some disturbances there, that if you can. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, so the story goes like that. So the meaning is reversed, that the poet wanted to convey to the world. The intention is there. So when the dog was killed, so if a dog has been killed, the next moment onwards, the mendicant also should be killed. So he just ran off immediately, because of the lion can come any time to kill him, because everybody, the life is so much precious. So that is the meaning intended, called the meaning suggested in principle. The principle suggestion is well there. So Bhama Dhammiya Ma Bhama. Do not roam around. That meaning has been reflected there. So that is the talent of the poet. So here, that the epics of Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc., etc., that has been established with their inner meanings, not through the literary meaning. The meaning of suggestion is well there. In that way, what Mahabharata wanted to convey to the world, ultimately the Lord Vasudeva is alone, is the ultimate soul himself. So that has been taught. There were many a number of stories of happiness, sorrow, hatred in between them. There is war and other types of many a number of things and many a number of stories in the Mahabharata. And these stories in between has not some correlation in between them. But ultimately the main message that Vyasa want to convey to the world, that only the Supreme Soul is one, and that is Lord Vasudeva, Bhagavan Vasudevotra Kirtyavetra Sanadana, something like that. It is from Mahabharata. Exact words I am not remembering. Anyway, and Ramayana also, that the sorrow, the Karuna Rasa has been highlighted. And the Shanta has been highlighted in the Mahabharata, that Purushartha Lakshana Moksha. Purushartha Lakshana Moksha. Then that liberation from all the bondages. That is what the Vedanta wanted to convey to the world. And that meaning has been expressed through this principal suggestion, which is called Dhvani, etc., etc. And then we just move forward. Now the time is 7:40 now. I will try to conclude by 8 p.m. Going through the verses again. And Dhvaniritham, just a minute, Dhvaniritham gunibhuta vyangyasya samashrayat nakavyartha viramoti yadisyat pradibhaguna. If you have the talent, there is no end to your poem. That is what the message that Anandavardhana wanted to convey to the world. And if you want to establish yourself, you have to rely upon the principal suggestion and the subordinate suggestion also. Dhvani and Gunibhuta Vyangya. Gunibhuta Vyangya is the subordinate suggestion and Dhvani is the principal suggestion. Either you have two ways of to establish yourself. You can have to make the poetry to make the audience happy. Then there will not be any end to your poem. So that quality of the poem will definitely be established. So that you need the talent. That is what he says. Yadisyat pradibha guna. If you have the talent to make poems, then you have to rely upon this principal suggestion and the subordinate suggestion, either of these. Then there will not be no end. So there will not be no dearth of poetic themes, and the principal and the subordinate suggestions are upheld. And the lack of imagination of poets, that is another problem that arising. A poet who does not have the talent and the lack of imagination, just to have learned a few words, and you can just compose that some words in particular meters, just to put the words only, and the meaning will be literally okay, without any grammatical mistakes. But that you cannot make sure that you can make the world happy. So the intention will be make others happy, then you will become happy naturally. So the lack of imagination is a drawback in the case of the poets. So poets should be it will result in lack of poetic theme, and the whole world will mock at you. If you are writing poems without any talent, that you are thinking yourself as I am one of the best poets of the world of any time, then the whole world will mock at you. That is a problem is going to happen for it is a lesson to the new poets, and you can imitate, and imitation should be with certain conditions. So then, in that case, what are the things to be taken into consideration? Avastha desha kaladi visheshairavijayate anandyameva vachyasya shuddhasya visvabhavata. So, the infinitude. So, the infinity is to be achieved by the expressed content. So, also even when it reminds its pure natural state, reason, and the considerations of circumstance, place, time, etc. That is avastha, desha, kala, adi, etc., etc. And then there is no end, anandyam, vachyasya, anandyam, shuddhasya api swabhavata. That is genuine in nature. So there is no limit. Nobody will going to stop a poet, either the imagination of the poet, which has been targeted to the minds of the audience. So that is what to say, the infinitude is achieved by the expressed content also, even when it remains in its pure and natural style, by reason of the considerations of circumstance and place, time, etc., etc. Then another feature, that is the resemblance from others. If you are, I want to become a poet like Vyasa, a poet like Kalidas, a poet like Valmiki. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, but under certain conditions. You can just write poems which will be having some quality, and that quality will make the audience happy. So audience is not that easy to tame. So you have some sort of discipline is to be maintained in your writings. So it is called the coincidence is a fact. Coincidence is a fact. So which means the correspondence between the coincidence is a correspondence between with another. If you are writing something which corresponds to Vyasa's writing, which corresponds to Valmiki's writing, and why should I say that Valmiki, Vyasa, Kalidasa, they have already established in the world with their writings that exquisite talent has been established. And it is if we just go through the Mahabharata, etc., it is not only a bunch of stories, but many a number of messages that the world has to do. There had been a fighting between the Kurus and the Pandus in between them, and ultimately no gain was there. Many a number of people have been dead, and nothing has been gained. Nobody is happy. So happiness, if we live in the world, without happiness, nothing can be achieved. We can, we can have consume that part of food, quality food, or any something like that, something sweet, etc., etc., etc. But at that time, your mind also should be happy. And many a number of sorrows in the world. We have born in this world, and many a number of bondages are there, and the revelation is required. And for that, happiness is a fact. If you are living here or living in some other world, etc., etc. So coincidence means the correspondence between the poets in the past, established poets, and they have such talent which has been established through their works, and we have to do the same. You can do that. So correspondence with the other. So there are three types of examples given. One is a reflected image. If we stand in front of the mirror, we will see the reflections there and something. And it is one type of imitation possible. Then another one is a painted picture. If you paint a picture of a horse, that original horse is something which can move around and jump around the road, etc., etc. But at the same time, a horse has been that painted in a portrait cannot be active at all. So that is second one. The third one is that two persons, the twins, for example, looking alike but having the different souls. But looking like anything, that we cannot differentiate who is the such and such person, who is the other one. So such a resemblance with the passages have been the established passages of Vyasa, Valmiki, Kalidas, etc. So such imitation is to be entertained by the poets to make the audience happy, because they have already become happy by going through the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Abhijnana Shakuntala, etc., etc. So reflected image is to be rejected, painted picture is to be rejected, and it is to be accepted that the correspondence with other, the coincidence is to be accepted, is the two persons resemblance between two persons, in the case of the twins, for example. Then that it has been said that I'm not going through the many a number of examples given. For instance, Hamsanam Ninadeshu Yaikavalidaira Satyate Kujaramanya Kopi Kashaya Kanthaluthanada Agartala Vibrama, etc., etc. Even though these poems have got the resemblance with other poems in the previous shlokas, but it has got the novelty. That is the talent of the poet. For example, we have seen the second verse of Amarukavi's poem. Amarukavi's poem, that Kshipro Hasta Avalagna Prasabham Abhiratopyadadanum Shukantam Grindhan Gesheshwapastascharananipadido Nekshitas Sambramena Alinganyo Vadhutas Tripura Yuvadibhisashrune Trotpalabhi Kami Vardra Paradha Sadahaduritam Shambhavo Vasharagni. That this poem is about the war has been started against the Tripuras, been burned by Shiva, who has got the chariot which has been formed by Brahman, and the bow which he is bearing was Indra, and the arrows have become Vishnu has become the arrows, etc., etc. The conditions for the boons that they have gained from the Brahman, that earlier that we should not die. So death is inevitable. So you have to change your demands. Then they change the demand as we will not die, but only will die when Shiva will kill us, and the chariot should be Brahman. Then the bow will be Indra, and the arrows will be Vishnu, and such conditions are there. So even then, when the Tripuras were burned, the women whose dress has been caught up with the fire, and the Bhayanaka, the sensibility of Bhayanaka, the fear, he has been shown. But the Naha Duridam Dahatu Shambhavaha Sharagnihi Naha duridam dahatu. So let our all sin should be burned by the fire or from Shiva, etc. So that meaning, that sentence, the meaning of sentence has been as kept as a principal meaning, and whatever the sentiments given are subordinate. So that is example. The same word has been repeated by Jagannatha in his Rasagangadhara with different different words. It is a different verse from Jagannatha, but it has got the novelty. For example, Utkshipta Kadaribharam Vivalita Parshudvayam Nyakrata Padam Bhojayugam Rusha Parihrta Durena Chelanjalam Grinnandi Tvaraya Bhavat Pradibhadakshma Pala Vamabruvam Yandinam Gahaneshu Kandakachita Kekena Bhumi Ruha. There is no change in the meaning what Amaruga was contemplating and what Jagannatha wanted to convey. But there are some words have been repeated and the theme also repeated, but the novelty is maintained. It is not like the reflection on the mirror. It is not like the portrait painted on the wall, but that it is the verse of Amaruga is resembling like a twin brothers looking alike. So that is samvado hyanya sadrishyam yat bimba pradibimbavat alekyagaravat yacha alekyagaravat tulya dehi vacha sharirina, etc. has been given here. And the time is ticking out. I want to conclude, and before that I will just 2 or 3 karigas. There are 16 karigas are there. I will just try to conclude as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we speak like that with the books, already the books, the Dhvanyaloka book is in my friend when I was in my childhood. In 1991, Professor P.C. Murali Madhavan sir taught me this Dhvanyaloka. So I am very happy from a talented guru. I could learn this, that many a number of years ago. 1991 means there will be 33 years ago. Okay, so just read it out that avasthadi vibhinnanam vachyanam vinibandhanam bhumnaiva drishyate lakshe tattubhadi rasashraya, etc., etc. And then we just go to the number 13 of that. Tatra purvamananyatma tuchatma tadanandaram tridiyam tu prasiddhatma nanyasamyam tijet kavi. So a poet need not reject the similarity regarding incidents of correspondence with other. The third, the persons of resemblance, has got the definite existence of its own. That is what example I have given, that the resemblance between what Amaruga wanted to convey and what Jagannatha wanted to convey. The meaning is the same, but the poets are different, but has got the correspondence of coincidence has been well established. Then the 14th verse I just read out. Atmanonyasya sadbhave purvasthitya anuyaya vivastu bhradidaram danvya shashichaya mivananam. And so long as there is a separate life of its own, even poetic theme bearing close correspondence to the earlier one will acquire exceedingly beauty. That is what we have seen in Jagannatha's verse there, Utkshipta Kavari Bharam, etc. Just as the delightful face of a woman will appear exceedingly charming in spite of its strong resemblance to the moon. Then the 15th one, that is what has been said here. Akshara dirachaneva yojyate yatra vasturachana puradani nutane spuradi gavya vastuni vyakrameva khalu sana dushyati It means even when the already existing elements of a poetic theme, such as the arrangements of letters, are utilized, it will certainly not the smack of law so long as the poet theme as a whole is shining with novelty. So novelty has been upheld here. You can have a number of letters, a number of words, number of sentences that you can use, even though it has been used by the earlier people. So people say that there is nothing new to your word sentences or the syllables, but neither syllables nor the words nor the sentences that makes, but the novelty has been kept apart, like the resemblance between the two people have got different souls but looking alike. So then another one, that is the 16th one. Yadapi tadapi ramyam yatra lokasya kinjit spuritam idamidiyam buddhirabhyujjihite anugatamapi purvachayaya vastutadrak Sukavirupadipadhyat nindyatam nopayadi. A poet cannot be ridiculed if he is allying his own that verses with utmost confidence, and the letters, words, and the sentences used by him, and it is like an imitation of the poets, established poets in the past. So it will be the yadapi tadapi ramyam, everything will be charming indeed. That iti iyam buddhir abhyujjihide spuridam, that whatever the charming has been established by the previous poets, and that charm also will be reflected in the new poet's theme also, and that type of intelligence will be there. So it is like a shadow of the past, shadow of the past poets, which will be reflected, and he will be treated as the one of the best poets in the world, and he will not be ridiculed. Then it goes like that. Then towards the end, he is just itya klishtarasashrayojita gunalangara shobhavrado yasmad vastu samihidam sukritibhis sarvam samasadhyate kavyakye kila saukhya dhamni vibudhodhyane dhunirdarshita soyam kalpatarupamana mahimabhokyostu bhavyatmanam. And there is a garden has been shown in the form of many a number of poems in the past, and there I have shown you what the principle suggested meaning is there. You can just accept it, you can enjoy it, and you can utilize it if you want to establish as one of the best poets of all time, one of the best poets of the current time, or any other time. There is beyond the time, the established poet beyond the time. If you want to become an established poet beyond the time, I have shown the method that there is a garden which has been full of the trees, etc., etc. And there, the poetic trees are there. There the principle suggested meaning, or the subordinate suggested meaning. There are two types of options are there through which you can establish yourself as one of the best poets of all the time. And then he concludes Anandavardhana. Satkavya tattvanaya vartma chira prasupta kalpam manastu parivakvadhiyam yadasi tadvyakarot Sahridayodayalabhahevoranandavardhana iti pradhidabhidhana. The term Anandavardhana, who makes the excess of joy, exceedingly more joy that he wanted to make, that Ananda Vardhana, the name, and the name which has got the meaning of the name and the terminology are the same. So that in all the sense, through these 4 flashes, that he makes the readers happy. And the poets also can do that. That is what he said. And with this limited speech, I would like to conclude. And thank you very much for the organizers, especially Professor Srikala, Professor Sangameshan, and many a number of audience assembled through this virtual form. I'm very much thankful, and with your kind permission, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Narayanan, for that very lovely and extensive discussion on the strictures provided by Anandavardhana on his work, where he was instructing the authors as how to make their work more, imbibe the dhvani onto their works. As he has spoken about the famous stanza, apare kavya samsare kavireka prajapati, and this has been very well quoted, and he tells us in his work, as quoted by Professor Narayanan, how the Vani Navatvamayati, how can we bring in novelty into our language? And to this, the author gives as an answer to this, he tells us that if you follow the strictures that I provide, then you will know how to write poetry. And the rest is a series of strictures like Avadhanada and so on and so forth. It was wonderful listening to you, though I know very, very little on the Kavya Shastra particularly, and generally, and Dhvanyaloka particularly, but I too enjoyed. Thank you very much, and let's have a small discussion. Particularly those who are working in the field of Sanskrit Sahitya may come forward and raise a discussion. Thank you very much. Over to you all. Please raise your hand. Those who want to raise a question, please raise your hand. There is a hand here. You can press on that. Yes, Sheshadri ji and Professor Sangameshan first. Professor Sheshadri. Over to you. Please unmute yourself.
Sir, it was really fantastic lecture I heard, but it is like like an appetizer, It created more hunger and more thirst to me. Would you be talking about this particular Anandavardhana's book once again? Would you be kind enough to do it? Because whatever you covered, it is only, it's too less. That's what I wanted to say. Would you be giving one more sharing of your knowledge on this particular thing? Thank you.
Yes. Did you hear Professor Narayanan what he asked?
Yes. In some other occasions, if we can that put another class, and then certainly we can just think over it, and I can just take suggestions from others also. There is no problem. Whatever I learned and what I understood, I was just trying to convey this. So if we can just one by one, first candle, first flash, second flash, third flash, etc., we can do like that. So if in more programs also, Whatever, it is a small one, but the fourth flash is a small one. But there are many a number of things to be explained. It is not easy to explain within a limited time of 1 hour. Even though that is only 17 karikas are there, limited examples are there, but the examples will be plenty in number. That is sure. Thank you, sir. Sheshadri, sir, I am very happy with your question.
Over to Professor Sangamesh. Professor Sangameshan,
okay, thank you, Narayan, for your nice presentation. Hello, Narayan?
No,
Am I audible? I'm
no,
audible?
you are not audible. I suggest that you close your video and then speak, because your voice is breaking.
Now? Hello?
Now
Am I audible now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. It was a wonderful presentation. I think I'm not asking much, but I am adding a little bit. I think Anandavardhana may be the first person in Indian aesthetics who takes a literary work in totality. The point, I think, Narayan is not means the ultimate use of a literary work and the ultimate use of this Dunyaloka itself is clearly pictured in this flash. That is, Mahabharata, for instance, Mahabharata can be taken in two ways: as a literary work and as a Dharmashastra text. While taking Dharmashastra as a Dharmashastra text, moksha is the ultimate use of Mahabharata reading. And while taking as a literary text, the Shantarasa is the Shanta, one of the greatest rasa, is the ultimate use of impact of that literary work. He describes, Anandavardhana describes elaborately in Sukshmataya tatra pratipatitam vartate. Katham Mahabharatam Mahabharate Shantah eva rasaha iti Purnataya Mahabharatam Purnataya Svikritya Shantah eva rasaha iti tatra nirupitam vartate. Tatra tat kichit सम्यक् कथनीयम् आसीत् इति मम विचारः। तावदेव आनन्दवर्धनेन अभिनवगुप्तेन च रसानां पुरुषार्थैः साकं तत्र ग्रन्थः विवृतः वर्तते. Anandavardhana and Abhinavagupta connects rasas, the aesthetic enjoyment, with the purusharthas. In Natyashastra commentary, Abhinav Bharati, Abhinavagupta is doing this. And in Anandavardhana, this fourth chapter, he is doing this. Rasa is connecting, Rasa is being connected with the Purushartha. That's all. I am just adding it.
Thank you for that. Professor Murli Madhavan, thank you for joining. I did not
unfortunately, I was not having net connection. There was some problem here. I was trying, and I was felt disappointed.
He was making
Narayanan is an upcoming scholar, and we have to give all type of encouragement and participation in the program. So, but unfortunately, it was. But at least I got it now. Yes.
Okay. He was making a mention of it.
Yeah. Actually, I want to have a just a clarification from Professor Narayanan. Whether Anandavardhana in the fourth Udyota of Dunyaloka, whether he postulates any, bring forth any, some new, what we call doctrine, as far as the what we call the soul of the poetry. The entire Dhvanyaloka is dealing with the soul of the poetry, regarding the soul of the poetry. And the first verse itself, with that pledge, he starts the entire text. Kavyasya Atma Dhvaniriti. So he has made it explicitly and implicitly clear that the Atma is Dhvani. But when he was speaking about Dhvani, first he says that Dhvani is the Kavyasya Atma. Then he comes to the division of the Dhvani. So then he says that there are three types of Dhvani: Vastu, Alangara, and Rasa. So there itself there is some contradiction, slight apparently, even though the great commentators like Abhinav Gupta, they have tried their level best to what we call to keep away such what we call anomalies regarding the three types of Dhvani. There also, to some extent, okay, we can agree with that commentaries. But whether Dhvanyalokakara Anandavardhana has meant it or not, we don't know, because commentators, they say like this. That is another thing. And again, he finally, in the third stage, he comes to that Kavyasya Atma Sayevartha. So then he comes to the Rasa point of view. So he thinks only about, he says that only Rasa. So Vastu and Alangara never comes in the picture. So, so these three statements are apparently, outwardly, it is contradictory. But okay, all these things through different types of commentaries, we have solved to some extent. We can say that. But at the end, in the fourth Udyota, Anandavardhana says that it is not simply Rasa is the Kavyasya Atma, Kevalam Rasa eva na Kavyasya Atma, Kindu Upadesha Sahidasya Rasaseva Kavyasya Atmattvamiti Tairangikritam. Mahabharatasya Vyakhyane Tatra Yatha Purva Suryana Atreva Purva Vaktra Uttam Vartade Tatra Dharmashastra Rupena Evam Kavya Rupena Dvetha Tatra Mahabharatasya Tatra Nirupanam Kartum Shakyate Tatra Rasa Rupena Shantarasasya Tatra Shastra Rupena Tatra Kimuchate Tatra Prapanchasya Nissaratvam Yatha Tatra Trishnakshaya Sukha iti Yaha Sukham Vartate Tadrisa Sukham Adhikritya Tatra Kinchit Uttam Drishyate Tasmat Tatra Upadesha Sahidasya Rasasyeva Upadesha Sahidasya Rasasyeva Mukhyataya Kavyangatvam iti Kavyangitvam iti Kavyangitvam iti Kavyasya Atmarupena Pratibhanamiti Tai Pratibhadidam Vartate. So, if that should be taken, so he has gone further a step more, saying that, but in one stage, Abhinav Gupta says that the Upadesha and the Rasa, they are the two different sides of the same coin. It is not different. But still, Kavyasya Atma Sayevartha ityukle tasmin sandarbhe tasmin tasyam garigayam tatra rasasyeva iti tatra adivyaptim vina tatra varidam vartate eva iti tatra asti tasmat tatra tadasha prayogaha tatra vartate. Kintu antime udyode na kevalam rasaha kintu Upadesha Sahidasya Rasasyeva Kavyasya Atmabhutatvam iti tai Radhandidam Vartate. Asmin Vishaye Professor Narayanasya Abhiprayaha Kaha iti Shrodum iti Ichha Asti.
Lovely.
Kripaya Uchyatam.
Lovely question, and the way he has taken it to heights. Thank you very much, Professor Ulay Madhavan. Over to you, Professor Narayanan.
I am really blessed that Professor Murali Madhavan sir, who taught me this Dhunyaloga around 33 years ago, that I don't have much capacity to just to reply to such type of questions. Still, I will try to answer this. That even though the suggested principle, suggested meaning is the heart of this essence, the residue of any poem, and the sentiments that has been highlighted in various poems, like uh, the principal sentiments and the sentiments are subordinate to that. That makes the charm of the poets very high. So here in the fourth flash itself, he wanted to make the audience, if a poet wanted to make the audience happy, that novelty is to be maintained. So such a novelty is maintained through that way. So that is why, for example, Ramayana is taken, Mahabharata is taken. So what we have to learn from the Mahabharata is, there will be the chapters of the quarreling between the Kurus and Pandus. Is it required to imitate that type of thing, or some other things? So ultimately, what is going in the back of the mind of that writer, author? What Vyasa wanted to contemplate is, he wanted to convey the world what the Upanishads are taught to the world, and what the other Brahma Sutra wanted to convey, that this world is very much fragile. This world is very much fragile, and nothing is here. The ultimate soul is the supreme one. That is the Lord Vasudeva. Bhagavan Vasudeva Kirtya Sanatana, etc. So that he wanted to convey. So that Anandavardhana recognizes that what Vyasa wanted to convey. So that is why he is taking that Purushartha Lakshanaha Mokshaha. That is why the Vasudeva has been praised. That is the aim. So whatever the beyond the war at the Kurukshetra has resulted in sorrow. The ultimate result of the war is sorrow. Many a number of 1/3 of the people is there. 2/3 of the people have been dead. So nothing has been gained by either these two groups, that or either Kurus or Pandus. Nothing with them. So only what has been that he wanted to establish was the ultimate soul is the real one, and that nothing beyond that. Whatever fragile things that we see, we feel in the universe is not at all mortal. It is momentary. So that was that mind reading has been done by Anandavardhana. What Vyasa was contemplating in the through Mahabharata, or Valmiki through Ramayana, etc., etc. So one poet should that imitate such type of talent to convey the world, the quality that is to be maintained, rather than the fragile world. In this fragile, that momentary pleasures are to be eradicated. So that is what I understood, and nothing beyond that. So anyway, even though he's starting with Dhwani, then the principle suggested meaning, and ending with the rasa is supreme, that the sentiments are supreme. Even though that he is again repeating that the principle suggested and the subordinate suggested, Dhwani and Guni Bodha Vyangya, that are the two tools, and through which the resemblance of two people having different souls, that looking alike, the twins like characters. So in such way that he wanted to imitate and to establish himself. That in the examples also I have just told that the Amarukavi's Kshipto Hastavalagna and Jagannatha's Utshipta Gabarivaram, etc. etc. So beyond that, my knowledge is much limited. That is what I want to convey. Thank you very much. I am blessed with the speech from Murali Madhavan sir. He's my guru.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And I like that twist where the literary criticism has been elevated to the heights of metaphysics. Thank you very much for this twist initiated by
No, actually, when Anandavardhana was speaking about, he is a great philosopher also. That is why he was discussing about Atma. He is talking about the Atma of this Kavya. So it's something very permanent. So the permanent one is Atma. So he is a philosopher. Certainly, he's a philosopher. I 100% agree with you. See, actually, Anandavardhana postulates one point that normally when you read the poem, a very excellent poem, for to say, the super variety of the poem, if you read that poem, you enjoy. But after enjoying that, what remains? Rasa never remains because it goes. Vibhavadinam rasasya avadhihi kidrishi vartate. Rasasya avadhihi vibhavadinam jividavadhihi. Vyanjakanam jividavadhihi. Yavat kalam vibhavadinam pratidhihi tavat kalam eva rasasya api pratidhihi. But that momentary vartate. So it is naimishikam. Tasmad rasanubhuti yad asmabhiranubhuyate tatkali. That is not permanent. But what you are getting something permanent from that? If nothing permanent, why you depend upon Kavya? To the world, if you are not getting something permanent, that you get from the philosophy only. From advice of the permanency of the world. What is permanent in this world? Is there anything in the permanent world? If you have something there which you can derive pleasure, Paramananda, the ultimate bliss, the final emancipation, how you get it? You get it only from poetry. He says that this rasa leads you to that permanent thing. And rasa is temporary. Singara, Karuna, Veera, Raudra, these are mundane things. And these things will vanish after some time. After your enjoyment, once you come out from the cinema theater, you're out. You forget all those things. You think about your ration, Ari, and think about what your thirst, and you take coffee, you go to the shop and purchase things and go, and you are worried about your wife who is not well, and you are about your children, and so many things. All worldly things will come up, and you will be enmeshed with that. This is what is happening. So what permanent you are going to get it from there? So Anandavardhana in the final Udyodha, he comes to that level, basing why he has taken Mahabharata and Ramayana for this purpose, to show this, because the entire poetry, the entire literature in Sanskrit literature, the different genres in literature, they are simply depending upon Ramayana and Mahabharata. These are the two great Girishringas. These are the two great mountains from where this entire Kavya Ganga is coming out. The drama, whatever it may be, whatever the form of literature, the genre, we are not worried because everything coming out from Ramayana and Mahabharata. So that's why he took these two things. Then in the beginning itself, Anandavardhana says that Vatmigi Vyasamukhyascha ye prakhyada kavishwaraha tad abhipraya bhashyoyam na asmabhirdarshito. He made it very clear. I have not talked, what we call debated or discussed anything. What is not told by Valmiki and Vyasa, what they told, I have repeated. Nothing more than that. What they have told about literature, about the permanency of the world, whatever it may be, whatever thing you see in your literature, you come across in literature, all those things are already told by Vatmiki and Vyasa. So that's why in the beginning itself, he has mentioned that. So what I want to say is that perhaps what Professor Narayanan told is 10% correct. He has made it very clear. He is telling that he is not having that much knowledge, but he is with sufficient background of knowledge itself. He have presented all these things. He presented the final his observation on my question. He has made it very clear. He told that this is this Krishnakshaya Sukha, which I have mentioned. This is the word, exact word, exact expression given by Anandavardhana. So based on that, there is no meaning depending on worldly pleasures and worldly goods and bads and attainments and achievements and other things. Nothing in the world is permanent. And what is permanent? Adana Vasudeva Sarvaidi Samahatma Sadurlabha.
Thank you, sir.
So
Over
that-
to Professor Sangameshan. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you are done, are you done, sir?
Yes. Okay.
You are done. Okay. Over to Professor
Yeah.
Sangameshan. I saw your hand.
यद् मुरळीमाधवमहोदयेन उक्तं तद् अत्यन्तं समीचीनमस्ति. ज्ञानस्य आनन्दस्य च तुल्यमेव प्राधान्यम् आनन्दवर्धनेन दत्तमस्ति. ज्ञानेन आनन्दः, आनन्देन ज्ञानम् इति द्वयमपि साध्यसाधनभावत्वं ज्ञानस्यापि आनन्दस्यापि. तत् आनन्दो नाम रसेन आनन्दः. तद् न केवलं चतुर्थ उद्योते अपि तु तृतीयोद्योते अपि तत्र ध्वन्यालोकग्रन्थः कवीनाम् उपदेशाय रचितः. तत्र कथम् अलङ्कारसन्निवेशनं कार्यं, कथं ध्वनिः आविष्करणीयः इत्यादि सर्वं. तत्र नियमानां कथनानन्तरं तेन नियमानां भेदनमपि शक्यते इति तत्र उक्तमस्ति. किमर्थं विनेयान् उन्मुखीकर्तुं काव्यशोभार्थमेव वा. For two purposes. A poet can break the rules. One for educating the uneducated people. Vineyan unmukhikartum. Unmukhata karya asti. Tadvat kavyashobhartham. Tridiyodyote api edas samij.
You're not audible.
तया उक्तं चतुर्थे तद् समर्थितम् एवं शास्त्रग्रन्थं. Hello, network is so poor.
No,
Okay,
we can hear now.
We
can hear now.
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you now.
We can hear.
There is a disruption.
न केवलं महाभारतस्य सर्वस्यापि ग्रन्थस्य काव्यत्वं शास्त्रत्वम् उभयं वर्तते इति. Okay.
You're not audible, Professor Sangameshan.
I think he stopped. I think.
He has stopped because his net connectivity is bad. Professor Narayanan, are you there? So, I mean, it is a news for me that the literary people are this philosophical. Had I known this, I would have studied Sahitya instead of philosophy.
Very good.
Anyway, it's nice.
Actually, in one place, Bernard Shaw says that philosophy becomes acceptable because it has the flavor of literature. And the literature is being agreed by every people, recognized or as authentic because it has the base with philosophy.
You know, literature is something like Bhakti Marga. See, when compared to Jnana Marga, the difference of Bhakti is that it is sweet all the way through. Like there is no hardship. So, we say in literature, you will reach the goal and it is always sweet. All through it is sweet.
Exactly.
So there is no
That's
hardship.
the thing.
Like, you know, we die in abstractions. We struggle and we die in abstractions.
Even when you discuss about shoga and dukkha and other things, when you depict, we enjoy it. Why it is? Normally in the world, dukkha is something pratikuladeya vedaniyam. So how you enjoy that? So it is only because of the kavya vyapara, that is Vyanjana. This when dukkha or shoga, when is brought by Vyanjana vyapara, it becomes sweet.
Yeah, I know that.
There are two functions of Vyanjana vyapara. One is, there are two functions of the Vyanjana vyapara. One is to create rasa, ananda. The other one to resist or to what we call hide the dukkha. So these are two functions. So you will enjoy only sukha from kavya, because the dukkha part of the shoga sentiment that never will be experienced by you, because of the power of divine power of Vyanjana.
Yeah. And in Western literature, it has been Western aesthetic tradition. It has been said that I mean, actually, the shoka is the best rasa because it gives perfect.
That is why they have tragedy. That is why they have so many tragedies.
Tragedy gives the best of the aesthetic experience. I mean, that is so in our. If you look at Ramayana,
that is.
Yeah, Ramayana, you have that shoka being enacted.
And even that is really, that is came from Bharata only. Because Vatmiki says that shogarthasya pravritto me shlogo bhavati nanyatha. So whatever the poem, the first poem came out from his mouth, that is because of shoga, he says. He never speaks about Shingara. He never speaks about hasya or another rasa, any other rasa. Only shoga, he says. So the real poetry comes out from shoga only, pathos.
Yeah, Tagore also speaks about this.
Yeah.
And Tagore says that I don't want mukti, I want to come again to this world so that I can have the aesthetic experience. So we have...
Yeah. So he's a great mastermind. Mastermind. Yeah.
So lovely discussion. Thank you very much. Is there any other question that is coming up? If not, may I request Professor Shiva to wind up the session? Over to you, Professor Shiva.
Our students, those who studied Dhunyaloka a little bit, why they are not raising any doubts or at least adding something of their own?
Routinely, the students never come up for discussion, and I feel very sad about it.
All our efforts are only for that.
Exactly.
Shiva, good.
Go ahead.
Seeing you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sri Guru Phyo Namaha. Respected chair of today's Sri Shankara Study Circle session, Professor Sri Kalama, our resource person, Professor E.R. Narayanan, most distinguished senior professors, Mahapadhyaya, Professor Murali Madhavan sir, Professor Sheshadri Srinivasaya, Professor Madhumita ma'am, Professor K.R. Ambika, and other senior, Professor Madhav Gopal, our young friend Dr. Jodhar Mai, other distinguished scholars, and my dear students, a warm good evening to one and all. It is my great pleasure and privilege to express our deep sense of gratitude to the galaxy of scholars assembled in this Google Meet platform. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our chair, Professor Sheikala ma'am, the director of International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies, for chairing this session. Ma'am has very well established in her introductory remarks. She very explicitly explained the relation between language and philosophy and the need of language and literature in human life. Thank you very much, ma'am, for chairing this session and for the enlightening introductory speech. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I would like to express our sincere thanks to our learned resource person, Professor E.R. Narayanan, for the beautiful rendering of the Karigas of the fourth Udyoda of Dhunyaloka and the scholarly interpretation of these Karigas with quoting abundantly from other famous texts. As our chair mentioned, Professor E.R. Narayanan is a part of this International School for Sri Shankaracharya Studies. Sir is a member of the academic committee of our international school. Even though sir is a member of our ISSS, I express our sincere gratitude to you, sir, on behalf of International School for Shankaracharya Studies and on behalf of all the participants assembled here. I express our sincere gratitude to you, sir. Our special thanks to Professor Murali Madhavan sir, Professor Sheshadri sir, and my good friend Sangameshan sir for initiating a good discussion. Thank you all. And I express my sincere thanks to all the senior professors, distinguished scholars, and my dear students for making this academic event a grand success. Once again, I express my sincere thanks to all. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Narayanan, you are well done, but I could not hear you fully. You have done it
Okay,
well.
sir.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that Professor Narayanan was a student.
Yeah, he was telling us.
We even is not like
We can't hear you, sir. Your voice.
question.
Hello.
He sent it